So basically, what is cartel? First, we have to understand that thing. तो कार्टल बेसिकली क्या होता है? कार्टल एक मैथड होता है by which firms industry try to restrict output, okay, in order to raise prices and profit level by way of collusion or mutual action, by way of collusion and mutual action. Okay, so cartel is illegal. Cartels are illegal, okay, as they restrict competitive activity, but they are difficult to govern these organizations. Okay, so if we talk now about international cartel, so international cartel is an organization by is an agreement. Okay, international cartel is an agreement, okay, between governments, between organization, suppliers organization and governments to restrict output and competitive activity for maximization of profit. So basically, international cartel is an agreement, okay, is an agreement between supplier organizations and government to restrict output. Okay, so they restrict output, okay, for and competitive activity for maximization of profit and competitive activity for maximization of profit. So international cartel is an agreement, okay, between supplier organizations or governments, okay, or government in order to restrict output and competitive activity for maximization of profit. Okay, then international organization of oil international organization for petroleum exporting petroleum exporting countries. Okay, this is basically international organization of petroleum exporting countries, an international cartel, okay, and is the most renowned international cartel. Its formation, okay, controlling the supply of crude oil, okay. So this is an example that international organization of petroleum exporting countries, okay, OPEC is the most renowned international cartel formation, okay, controlling the supply of crude oil. International of International Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC is the most renowned international cartel controlling the supply of crude oil. Okay. Then OPEC is formed in the 1960. Okay. OPEC is formed in 1960 by five oil producing nations. Acting as founding members. These include Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. Okay, so OPEC was formed in 1960 by five oil producing nations acting as founding members: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. Okay, so the success of this cartel lied in the sudden increase of oil demand. Okay, post-war during early 1970s. Okay, which gave OPEC nations opportunity to raise prices by curbing production. Okay, so basically the success of this cartel lied in the sudden increase of the oil demand. Okay, post-war during early 1970. Okay, during early 1970s. Okay, which gave OPEC nations opportunity to raise prices, which gave OPEC nations opportunity to raise prices by curbing production, right? So what we have studied till now is that first we have learned what is cartel. A cartel is a system where we have studied that cartel is a system which by which firms in an industry try to restrict output, okay, by the way of for raising prices and profit levels, okay, by way of collusion or mutual action. Okay, cartels are illegal. Then we studied that cartels are illegal because they restrict or because as they prevent competitive activity, but it is difficult to govern these organizations. Then what is international cartel? International cartel is an agreement between government or suppliers organization to restrict output and competitive activity okay, for maximization of profit. Then we learned about OPEC. OPEC, we learned International Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. OPEC was formed is a renowned international cartel formation, okay, controlling the supply of crude oil. Then OPEC was formed in 1960 by five oil producing nations acting as founding members. These include Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. The success of this cartel lied in the sudden increase of oil demand post-war during early 1970s, okay, which gave OPEC nations opportunity to raise prices by curbing production. Then, effective survival of cartel require few firms and a commodity with no clause substitutes. Okay. Then, if we talk about effective survival, okay, of cartel requires few forms, okay, and a commodity with no close substitute, and a commodity with no close substitutes, right? So basically, the effective survival of cartel requires, okay, few firms and a commodity with no clause substitutes. It is easier to organize firms under such situation. Here the changes in the price policy of the commodity will not shift the demand, okay, as no substitutes exist. Okay, so let me write this for you. Effective survival of cartel, effective survival of cartel requires a few firms and a commodity with no close substitutes, okay, with no close substitutes. Why? Because it is easier to organize firms under such condition. Right, so here the changes in the price will not shift the demand, as no substitutes exist. Then the ability to restrict production is related to the monopoly of the organization. This can be seen from the Lerner's index formula, or you can just say Lerner index, given by I is equal to optimal price minus MC upon May price. Okay, 1 upon me EC. Okay, the ability to restrict the prices, the ability to restrict productivity, is related to the monopoly of the organization. This can be monopoly of the organization. This can be seen from the learner index given by I is equal to optimal price minus MC upon the price, which can be written as 1 upon the EC, where EC is the elasticity of demand, ठीक है, elasticity of the demand for the international cartel. The greater is the elasticity of demand for international cartel, the lesser is the monopoly benefit. Okay, the greater is the elasticity of demand for international cartel. Production, the lesser is the monopoly benefit. Okay, the elasticity is further affected by, or you can just say the elasticity EC is a function of 3 factors. The elasticity EC is further a function of 3 factors, a function of 3 factors. First is the elasticity of demand in the elasticity of world demand, elasticity of world demand, right? Then elasticity of ability of a cartel to earn profit by raising prices. Then elasticity of produced by non-cartel member. Lesser is the elasticity of non-cartel member, okay, to produce, to compete, and lesser is this elasticity, okay. The harder is it for non-cartel member to compete, and the cartel can take benefit, okay. Then share of cartel. The third important factor is the share of international cartel in the world supply. A greater proportion will create a scope for dominance and higher profit margin. Then OPEC nation employed monopoly. OPEC nations employed monopoly benefits due to lack of substitutes, ठीक है, absence of substitute to the product, and small size of competing, okay, non-cartel supplier. This was responsible for the success of the cartel. But apart from the benefits, we must not forget the challenges of the cartel, okay. Of we must not forget the biggest challenge of keeping the cartel organized and organized, right. um, there is always there always likes an incentive for incentive for a member to break free from cartel or to deceive by charging, by slightly reducing the price and capturing a larger share in the total supply. The operation by firms, this operation by firms often result in price wars, and where other member apply, or you can say opt for tit for tat strategy by slashing their prices to punish the defeating firm. This could be termed as principal rule for survival of the firms under cartel. Then again the same thing, that OPC has been successful because of the absence of substitutes. However, cartels are considered to be highly unstable organizations set up. The ability to restrict output and enjoy profits by raising prices due to lower demand elasticity has its implication, right. Then basically there are some, what you can say is that it is an unstable organization setup, and the ability to restrict output, right, and enjoy profit by raising prices has its implication. First is frequent price shock force the buyer to to look for alternative arrangement. It could either in the form of domestic capacity building, or domestic capacity building by avoiding cartel imports, or by substitution of the product in the overall sense. Then higher prices of the cartel export will induce the non-cartel member to export, to create export competition. Then various type of cartels. If we talk about types of cartel, then we have 4 types of cartel. The first one is market sharing cartel. Then price fixing, then limiting production, then bid rigging, collusive tendering. Okay, so in market sharing cartel, the member are given a special market to operate in. Price fixing cartel, the most common type of cartel, okay, where oligopolistic firms decide the price to create monopoly profits, okay, and limiting production. Competitors illegally agree to control the amount of goods or services to maintain high prices. And in bid rigging, collusive tendering, a collusive illegal action is taken to decide who will win the tender. So this was the topic, international cartel. You should just remember the name of these, and its definition is not that much important, right? And you should know that why OPEC was successful. The two reasons were lack of substitutes, and the other reason was that there was few competing cartel, right? Then this was it for the video. In the next video we will be discussing dumping. So if you want to understand that topic as well, then you can check that video in my channel, right? For this video we will end by this topic, which is international cartel. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like the video, then you have to subscribe my channel, right? And you can share the video to your friends, right? So yes, thank you for watching the video. Thank you.